Hello there, once again. My YouTube family, I'm going to talk to y'all like you're right here with me in my home, like you're right here with me, and we're just having a conversation. I'm been sitting here thinking there's a lot that has taken place. There's a lot that we have been through unitedly since 2020 began. There's a lot that has happened. We had, starting with Kobe Bryant's, that tragedy, onto the coronavirus, this pandemic, onto all the racial injustices that we've encountered and we've witnessed and seen on the news. And it's really heartbreaking. It reminds me of what's going on right now, and at this cross that we're at with the coronavirus and the racial injustice. It just reminds me of the story of Moses, Pharaoh, the Egyptian reign over the Israelites. Um, it's a story in the Bible in Exodus where Moses, who was a natural Hebrew, um, was somewhat adopted by the Egyptian as a baby because um, his mom somewhat wanted to protect him um, because the Israelites were enslaved by Egypt. And so he was born in Egypt, but his mom wanted to protect him. So she put him in a river, and the Pharaoh's daughter found him and raised him as an Egyptian. But later, the the Israelites were enslaved by Egypt, and Moses was sent by God to tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Pharaoh refused time and time again, and many plagues were sent. And it was plagues such as like a various amount of gnats and frogs took over. The ultimate plague was when God told Pharaoh, which the message was sent by Moses, that he will kill the Egyptian's firstborn son. Pharaoh's son ended up dying, and that's when Pharaoh decided to go ahead and let the people go. To me, the Europeans, the Americans, won't let the African Americans go. Um, African Americans were enslaved in this country. Still, to this day, we see inequality, injustice. It's so unfortunate, you know. We have this plague of this coronavirus simultaneously with this injustice. And now we see these protests, and we see, somewhat segregation. Because if you think about America and the design, right, you think about the history, the redlining, Jim Crow. You think about how our history has affected our future, and we see this played out, right? We see this projected because we still have areas in America where there's only whites over here, there's only blacks over here, Mexicans live in this area. So that was by design, and today we're still somewhat affected by that. Um, it's really sad to think, in my mind, that um, we have people who think this way, who think evil, and it's really a demonic spirit that had came and just showed its face from the beginning of time here in America, just the beginning of time, period. Um, Evil practices have been projected by many. Um, if you think about the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve, and then Cain and Abel, and how corruption had taken place then, and evil showed its face then, and so now we have evil things and unjust things and unfair things still taking place. We live in a carnal world. And this is why these things take place. But it takes for us to read our word, get into God, and it starts home. We have to teach our children. Just as passionate as we feel about righteousness and doing the right thing and having a heart, a mind, soul, a conscience. We have individuals on the flip side who feel just as passionate about being evil. So we have to retrain our brain, you know, and it's a process. There's a process in first recognizing that there's a problem and then, trying to execute that problem. It's going to take a collective effort for things to change, starting from the top. We have a Supreme Court, and sometimes those individuals sit in those places until they can't anymore. There's no expiration date on those positions. And we have to make sure that our word is heard. How we feel about injustice and equality, sometimes we need to make sure that makes it to the top. We need to go through those necessary channels so that things can change, because this country was designed, right, for a certain race and culture to reign over another set of race and culture. And so knowing that this have been woven into the culture of America, it's heavy and it's real. And so right now we need to have a collective effort where our words and sincerity reaches the top. We can do this. We have to fight together. Our voices need to be heard. We need to be reaching out to our local officials. We need to be praying. And together we can do this. We have to find a way.